We can get to new teams because we got to talk about Wildcard's next game coming back up, but we can't get to new maps because that's still a problem that North American teams have trying to incorporate those in their map pools. All good, not a huge deal. We need to talk about our last game of the day, Beastcoast against Wildcard. Different case here, with both teams having played a game earlier in the day, whereas every other game, some team has come in fresh and has not played any games prior, but now both of these guys with vastly different results in their first matchups are now going to have to come into this one and try to tailor things a little bit more to make sure they can walk away with a dub.
Yeah, Wildcard played, but it was a while ago. That was game one of the day.
5 hours ago.
Yeah, and it was a big win for them, an upset over Sonics. Not a lot of people expected that, but they looked really good in that map. They played very, very well, had some great attacks to come through. And then Beastcoast, on the other hand, kind of a rough loss to start off their day. They already lost today to Oxygen, so looking to get their first win on the board, hopefully, for them.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if we're talking in comparison here, I mean, Wildcard, again, came out extremely strong, more than what we expected that to be. I mean, it was kind of a landslide, in my opinion. Like, they showed pure dominance on Bank. So I'm curious if now going into this matchup, obviously when you come off a win, you're feeling good, but sometimes that can be a reason why you start to slack because you had that success, because you're hyped and you get a little overzealous. So I'm hoping that, obviously, for Wildcard's sake, that they do continue that trend of, you know, performing well like they did against Sonics. And then on that back end with Beastcoast, you know, just like what we saw with DZ. They had a bad game, whatever. They came last map, they dominated. So I'm only curious that, you know, is Beastcoast going to realize that? Is Mr. B going to, you know, realize what was happening, go in there and fix the mistakes, and then have a, all in all, better game?
We haven't really been able to touch on the guys on Beastcoast too much. We tried in that last pregame, but there's just a lot of things to talk about with this team. Again, Reverse, his debut in Tier 1. He's already got his first map out of the way. That's fantastic. Spiff played with you on Parabellum, played for Astralis back at the 6th Invitational, looking for the way to properly incorporate him. Doc is getting his role shifted around, according to Mr. B, about him trying to play more anchor positions, allowing Mr. B to get freed up to try some other things. Same thing with Hat not being a pure entry, and Reverse now having that on his shoulders. Jesse, so much about this new look Beastcoast is so much different than the team that had 2 veterans on it just last stage.
Yeah, and I think we saw some really impressive moments from Beastcoast in their first game. You know, we saw 2 clutches coming through from Reverse, had some big moments where he was able to win 1v1, 1v2. We saw Hat popping off, as he does, very skilled player. Everybody already knew that, but he showcased that once again throughout the play. And I even think Doc had some really great moments as well earlier on, popping off on the roam, which was really nice to see from them. But yeah, I think all in all, Beastcoast playing together as a team. Hat is the guy, though. Hat is the one who, if you're going to focus on anybody, he's going to be popping off, and he's going to be the one who's pushing the team across the finish line.
Yeah, and obviously with Hat, these stats don't really do him justice compared to what he did during the first stage. And I actually did talk to Hat previously going into this stage. You know, he said one of his biggest strengths was that he could find a gap in the armor of any team setups, and that's the truth. Like, playing against him, you know, we had an idea of what he could do, but he executed it perfectly timed, where, like, you thought you knew it, and next thing you know, he's shooting you in the back, he's getting you in the side, and Hat is a very strong player. And again, that's a rookie. He came in first stage and dominated it. So maybe that last game wasn't it, but that was a team game. Again, you can't just focus on one person and blame, you know, a loss. That was a team game. Now this game, like I said, I'm sure Mr. B, you know, they went to the back to the drawing board. They're going to figure out what they need to fix, implement players where they need to put them, and it's going to be a better result.
Their opponents across the aisle, at least for today, drastically different result. Beastcoast got slammed. Wildcard were the ones doing the slamming against Sonics in the upset win that started off the stage. Everyone generally played pretty darn good. Don't let Spirit's 96 EPS really knock you down, because with Merc, Adam, and Packer, and look at how high everyone's collective rating was, and specifically we'll get to Merc's performance later, but Lax, just break it down for me. How good of a debut
this is exactly what I'm talking about when you're looking at, you know, we're talking about, you know, a team loss. This is a team win. That is full contribution of each player there putting in the work, doing what needed to be done in order to close out that game against Sonics, and those stats literally speak for it. I mean, you got 3 people with 2.0s. I mean, what can you ask for? That's a great stat. One guy's really close to it, and then, you know, maybe sure, Spirits wasn't having the best, but that is the whole point of a 5-man roster. Is you might not be having your strongest game, but that is literally the point of having the other 4, is they can pick up that slack and allow you to, you know, find your footing. Or just because you aren't having that great game, that doesn't mean you aren't helping in the comms. It doesn't mean you aren't helping giving the information to help those other players have just as much success.
And I think what we saw from Wildcard in that first game, what I really liked, is they had great moments throughout all portions of the round. In the early round, you saw Surf, you saw his entry stat there, 3 big opening picks for him to go in, start things off early and aggressive for Wildcard. Merc, I thought, was so good in the mid-round, following up on his teammates, finding that angle. Often he was the guy to give the team that man advantage. He was really doing a great job hunting down Citizen, hunting down Rex, and making Sonic's lives just so miserable because he would find these picks where people aren't able to fight back. They don't know where he is. And I think being able for the whole team, for being able to find those entry points, being able to find a little way in to turn an even round that could go either way into this is your round, you're going to close it out right now, is massive, and they do that so well.
And we know Merc isn't scared of a gunfight.
Oh, no.
We know that.
Lax, I want to give you an opportunity to tell me whether or not I'm stupid. I'm going to present 2 scenarios or 2 problems Beastcoast might have, and you tell me whether you think they apply, okay? They have 2 rookies or 2 relatively new players replacing veterans on the team. The rookies might not know to check every single angle or do every little individual step that the veterans might have done, and Wildcard still have the element of surprise being a team that's only been together for a couple of weeks. Do you think both of those things apply to Beastcoast and like things that they're going to have to fight back from in this game?
Not necessarily, because obviously getting reverse, like we did see really good moments from reverse in those clutch rounds. Like for me, like seeing a player like that have that split-second decision-making, that to me is what defines an okay player to a really good player, because that's not something you can teach. When you're in that moment, that pressure's applied, you have to critically think, what is the best play? Do I challenge it? Do I run away from it? Do I put myself here? And like we saw reverse in those clutches that he either took the fight or he ran away. And that is so important for a player to be able to have that. And then also with getting Spiff. I mean, Spiff is what? I mean,
you played with him.
He went to Invitational.
Yeah.
He played with me. Obviously, I saw something in him. They saw something in him. And I think this is the team that, you know, given them once they find their footing, that this will be a team that will allow Spiff to flourish even more.
I like what I'm hearing and certainly hope that the guys on Wildcard also appreciate the takes. Here's the thing, though. Last map, Consulate, maybe. I'm praying. If it doesn't happen on day 1, I'll be a little bit pissed, but that's just kind of the nature of things at the moment. Last map, Jesse, where do you think we're heading to?
I actually could see a Consulate in this one. You know, Beast Coast, when we got to see them a little bit quickly in Breaking Point, we didn't see them banning the new maps too often. Wildcard are still kind of a wild card team. You don't know where they're going to go just because we haven't seen them a whole lot throughout the stage and the map ban phases. But I don't know, Jacob. We'll have to find out.
All right, we're going to find out right now. There we go.
That was impressive.
Actual magic.
Probably spot on.
Okay, well, we are not getting any new maps.
I hate you.
I think Wildcard probably banned Nighthaven Labs. I don't think Beast Coast got
I was going to say, something happened with the bans right there. Someone got a little lucky.
No, I think, yeah, something's going on there. Listen, but we're going over to Border instead, and this is a map that Beast Coast played quite a bit throughout the offseason, 4 times to be exact. They lost it to Cruelty, beat Monkey Business, lost to Outlast, and then beat Last Resort for Beast Coast there. So interesting for them to be pulling out a map that they maybe have so much recent footage on. And then Wildcard, this is a map they didn't ban throughout their first game, so not a surprise that they seem to like this one. Nice that we're getting to know Wildcard's map ban phase a little bit better here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, looking at the map and seeing it, I mean, looking at the players and looking at the map, I can kind of see this being a slugfest. And then also, I can see this map where Hat could really take advantage of some gaps and maybe, you know, coming in from the back or coming in from the side. You know, just being a nuisance, I can definitely see that. But then on that same note, I can see Merc and Surf just spearheading fights, taking the map control that they need. So I think this is honestly going to be a slugfest of a map.
Oh, yeah.
Well, can Wildcard do it 2 times in the same day? We're going to find out. Border is up on deck. That's our last map of the night before we sign off and do this entire thing again tomorrow. So it's Parker and Tara Mackay and Nicholas Pengu Moritzen with the call.
All right, so map 1 of Ask Casting, we get our full human names, no alias. Map number 2, we get our alias, and then we get a big old name sandwich, courtesy of Jalabur Kakub. Thank you. Thank you, Kakub. I appreciate you.
It's keeping things fresh. I mean, it's been 3 games, but we're different, yet the same every single time. I'm for it.
We're actually constantly changing.
Yeah. You know, every 30 days, you basically, like, you gain, like, a whole new set of skin, basically. Like a snake, except that we don't shed it. We just kind of grow it. It's kind of cool.
You know, there was a great proverb that I read one time.
Okay.
It said that when no man steps into a river twice. because if you haven't changed, the river has.
Wow. Okay. That's very deep.
I read another proverb that was like, teach a man to fish. He'll eat for a day, but I mean, a man should learn how to fish himself. Fishing's easy, you know?
Wait, did you mess it up or?
Fishing ain't hard.
I think a saying is give a man a fish and he can eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he can eat for a lifetime.
No, it's a botched quote from Parks and Rec.
Oh, it's actually okay. Yeah, I thought you just messed it up there. I mean,
Stick the
easy.
landing.
I don't know. I mean, it is easy. Let's be honest. The fish does all the work anyway, right? It goes chonk, and then that's it. You reel it in.
No, fish plays for OXG.
Oh, nice one.
Thanks. Beastcoast versus Wildcard. Wildcard with a very intriguing result earlier today when they toppled the Sonics. It's been a long day for Wildcard. They play the first match, they play the last match, so plenty of downtime between their games.
Yeah.
Maybe do some VOD review, I don't know.
I was gonna say, I mean, you can argue both sides, right? You get a big break, they can rest, but I mean, every player is different. For my personal sake, I find it's always hard to, put yourself to like 110% efficiency, right? That's your pro league level. And then like you gotta wait for like 4 hours and then you gotta peak again. Usually if you only have like, a game or, maybe a game spread, you kind of like maintain it a bit, warm up, T-hunt, deathmatch, etc. Hop into the second game and you're gonna be super tired by the end. So let's see how they do. Beastcoast played earlier as well, so both teams obviously warmed up. Border, bit of a... It's gonna be one of those maps where you're gonna see people go for engagements, and they just kind of spoke about it. Merc is like the #1 guy who just wants as many gunfights as possible, so it's a classic one from the start off in this spawn peak position.
If there's anybody who's gonna pull this off, it's gonna be Merc, making sure there's no drones around. Ooh, a drone that you can't see with Solus, but he still gets up from his position, doesn't want to do too much, and overcommit to Doc in that spot. I already like the tempo that these teams are setting, Nick.
Yeah, you gotta do the border. I mean, it's all about this, right? Defenders wanna keep the attackers out for as long as possible because border is a pretty small map after all. The main areas here gonna be east stairs and security. Every single attack and round, you're always gonna want to control over that. But attackers, they start things off on the right side of things as Reverse has found Adam on the east part of the map.
Nice good pick for Wildcard to start off. Or rather, a good pick for Beastcoast to start off. They had the names swapped up. You ever look at a monitor and things are around the other way? Happens to me all the time. They still allow Merc to roam around this position. It's the first match that you and I have casted today that Solus has gone unbanned. Operator bans, for those that didn't follow along. Dokkaebi and Valkyrie banned out by Beastcoast. Nice shot by Packer on the Reverse. Only one kill for the Ana. That's all that she wrote. Ying and Azami banned out by Wildcard. The lack of Azami is not really that surprising. She's been a very popular ban as well. Banned in our very previous matchup of DZ versus Mirage. Merc gets a bit too aggressive. Down he goes to Spiff. Right now on the exterior stairs, looking all the way into the bomb site. And now it's Mr. B to take out Spirits, and bit of an odd position that Spirits wouldn't have cleared first. Good lord. All right. This is just a shooting gallery at this point, Nick. It's absurd shot after absurd shot after absurd shot.
I mean, this is basically what happens when you take two relatively aggressive teams who want gunfights and you match them on border. It is these 1-for-1s, every fight they can get. Like, you have Grim, you have, utility, you have Nomad, but it's still people just fighting. With 30 seconds left in a 2v3, still anyone's round to go.
And they're just going to take the fight right to them. Hacker, long range on the dock. A good night. Surf, toiling away. He's good for 1 kill. Traded out himself. Hacker and Spiff in a 1v1. Time not on the side of the attacker. Spiff also very low HP. Still one of those gases in the back pocket of smoke. And that'll be enough to take out Spiff. But with shotgun in his position, that's an easy jiggle around the pillar. Wildcard start off with a win.
Bit of a surprising end to the round. I mean, he could have gone for the revive and then try and make a play off that maybe, etc. But either way, defenders, they hold strong, and time is the thing that actually runs very low, which was a big surprise to me given how quickly that round really developed, essentially. But the bomb site itself, relatively safe because no one's really playing for the objective in that specific round at least. Now, on border, you do have a lot of possibilities to go for really quick plays. Blitz, phenomenal operator. Of course, the Ying. We see anything from like, we see some glass play with the smokes. There are so many options really. And whenever you see Merc inside of a server, there's always chances for those things to happen when a Wildcard gets to go in their attacks. Now, one big difference for these two teams that we've seen so far at least is that Wildcard definitely is more of a Wildcard, whereas Beastcoast is like kind of like a mini Dark Zero. They have their kind of structure, but they also have their aggression when they need to, and they like to be flexible and try different kinds of things. In Beastcoast's game earlier, it was really Hat who stood out to me as the player. He was taking fights, he was winning fights, and he was literally a hero in so many rounds as an individual player. We didn't really see much play in that first one, but that's the life of border. Sometimes you get got, sometimes you find the kills yourself.
Well secured!
Deploying shield.
Magnet deployed. You can worry less about grenades.
Juggling that Soulless around, and it'll now be Packer's turn. I guess he earned it with those 3 picks. Very quickly into live action.
Setting up a breaching.
Hat had a particularly good game all the way back when they played earlier. Hat has really impressed me as a player, Nick.
I was gonna say I really like Pat's content. He was very energetic and very hyped, and we often see these like, oh, where is this on the map, or what's your favorite memory, or you know, all the content pieces. And every time Packer, like, you can tell he's happy to be here. Like, he's so excited about this thing. He said he deserves to be here.
I'm just happy to be here, man.
He's doing well while liking it. That's the best combination.
We're riding along with Hat inside of customs. Got droned in and will now drone himself in, close enough to those soft walls that even if it is a suppressed weapon, he almost certainly heard the bullets go whizzing by. Now Reverse will approach the triple panel, leading into office. It needs to be droned in. It's been shot to hell and back as Adam looks over those largely footholes, but some extending a bit more upwards. Heard the air jab, used an impact to get rid of it.
Pretty much stuck outside the building. I mean, they're in, but not quite. It's almost like, oh, just do that? Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like Beastcoast are waiting for Wildcard to make the first move, which they so happily did in that previous round, but a wall bang will start things off splendidly. Where was Packer? Where are you going?
Enjoy your disbelief. So far, these 2 rounds have just been like a shootout at the OK Corral. I mean, strategy obviously is going into this, Nick, but for the most part, it's just finding openings and taking engagements. Beastcoast have only lost Doc. They get the diffuser down and can now begin to watch that clock, try to isolate these last 2 players from Wildcard, of which it just becomes Merc.
Taking the bad guys.
Far away from the diffuser, and now will be frozen in place. As there goes one of those Lion charges. Last one from Hat. Merc seeing Spiff, and it's a nice shot. That's a world champion. He certainly knows how to shoot. But he's going to be wide out in the open, getting to the case, and it's Hat to pick up his 3rd kill of the round. Beastcoast get on the board.
And a good adaptation there from Beastcoast. I mean, they're hitting the 1/2 level in that east stairs area, but then all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, they're also getting the plant down. And when that happens, well, all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to actually move around the map as a defender. And a lack of intel definitely is a problem, and it might be why Wildcard are really fighting so hard for this, because they don't really have that much knowledge. I mean, we saw Packer jumping out a window outside the building in the middle of the round, be like, I guess he thought someone was there, and he wasn't wrong. He just didn't know exactly where that person was, and he gambled incorrectly because of lack of knowledge. That's the Wildcard ban. Does that to you?
Doesn't surprise me that one of the newer teams would be relying a lot more on gun skill as well. Strategy tends to come and develop later on. Not that there's a lack of strategy from Wildcard, certainly not. If you watched that first map earlier today, you'd know that I think it'd be uncharitable, Nick, to say that they were just gunners. But as with all new teams, it's going to take some serious time to gel. Even if you just swap out a single player,
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
it can completely upset the entire apple cart. Take a bit of time for you to get back into that rhythm and dominance that you saw before.
It's been a while since we've had T1 level play. I mean, for some of these players, they've had like a 4-month summer vacation, right? I mean, there's gonna be some nerves and some rust to go into this, you know. A lot on your shoulders. It's been a while. First game is now off your back earlier for most of these teams. Both of these that they're watching right now. Now it's your second turn. Gotta show up. Nice bit of roam here from Beastcoast. Always efficient with the drones, but Wildcard and Spirit still fighting back on the armory side of things. So while one side of the map is going pretty well, the other one is just in chaos.
E1D going off as Hat finds himself in a spot that, funny enough, I often attribute to Dream from OXG from the amount of time that he spends down in customs.
Oh my god, yes.
Especially on Maestro, an operator that you mentioned in the very previous map. We don't see much of any longer. At this time, of course, on attack, just governing over these angles. He's itching for somebody to push him from workshop or from lobby.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
East Coast
Attackers
rearranging.
have
Hat
recovered
does
their
get
diffuser.
found, Nick. Merc guns him down. Inside a workshop right by the bomb chassis, walking up closer to that rotate that's been created in the wall, but pausing for a moment. Beast Coast still need to clear out this top floor. The effectiveness of their entry has not been quite where it needs to be.
Yeah,
For all the
another
flashes
intel.
you might, Spirits on Warden is sitting there waiting.
Yeah, look at this. Oh!
And he loses it, Nick. Well, I mean,
Surprise,
he gets one.
surprise! Thought he had it there for a second. I mean, they got the intel, but where's the act? I mean, look at this. The flank from Doc might be good, but it's too little, too late.
Okay.
They're just what? I mean, it seems like they're Sir's falling asleep apparently here as well. They're kind of walking around. Beastcoast are so scattered across the map. It seems like the moment they lose their first member, it's like they cannot do their plan because they need all 5. So they just go they kind of go off the plan. They're not taking security properly. They're not taking Easters properly. They have a drone inside the bomb side of workshop, but they have no idea what's happening up above. But they're trying to take up above, not the bomb site. So it's almost like they have, you know, one half of the hive mind working the wrong problem here, and those gaps that's creating is being exploited by Wildcard. And it just makes these really messy, unorganized attacks. And Border, again, as I said, very small map. You can't just slap 3-4 people in the same area of the map, take it together, put as many guns facing one direction, and that's exactly what you want against a strong individual team or strong individual players on a team like Wildcard, because those 1v1s, they're very hard to win.
Introduction of free cam, by the way, has been really nice to see. We saw in the previous
10
map.
seconds to go.
It's been used effectively again by our fearless
5
observer,
seconds to
Easy.
go.
Barricade up.
Happy belated birthday, Easy.
Spec you
Attackers are
active.
heading out to defuse a bomb.
Well, I mean, different people watch different games. I think it's important that he gets the recognition from all of the fan bases.
Well, you didn't say it in the first map, so what's up with
That's
that?
because I didn't know, okay?
Okay. You're excused.
I'm trying to correct my mistake.
We'll see if Beastcoast will do the same, they'll suffer the same fate. I do like the fact that they bring out the IQ, but it's kind of like, why exactly are you bringing out the IQ? You got Valkyrie being banned, and there's no real utility. We haven't seen Wildcard bring out anything, you know, info heavy besides the Solos, which is in play this time around too. But it's hard to fight against the Solos. Moves around the lock, can sprint with the gadget active, always running around the block is Merc on that operator. That will be the entry. Waiting for that drone intel to make his next move, but Merc, he has not the intel. Oh, what? Oh, it's personal, isn't it?
An enjoyable thing, though, nonetheless.
Absolutely.
I mean, Merc likes to make it personal in his games, Nick. It shouldn't surprise him or anybody that's watching.
Oh, it's only fair.
Increasing our
Yeah.
defenses.
I mean, he is,
Magnet
in many
Protect the
ways,
device.
so many people, the godfather of the good night.
Yes. That's a good point.
Sending
Very
out
good night
Gemini.
memes. Oh, they're great.
As you talked about, the changes now, a very small window for a kill with those grenades from down below. Can also be used quite effectively. Try and open up the mirror window, which they had a ping on earlier. I suspect that is the intention for Beastcoast, but Spirits is not willing to let it go quietly and decides instead that he'll be the bully and he'll fire back. Oh, what on earth is going on in that hallway? Hacker digs 2 graves for the price of 1. Gets a 3rd on the hat. That's his domain from above, but Beastcoast have made quick work of the remainder of his team. Packer in a 1v2. Watching the double door. This will need to be an ace for Packer.
Attackers have
Won't have a ton of munitions at his disposal, and he'll fire away, but time is going to continue to tick down. An air jab actually might have just saved his life in that altercation. It allows Dog to get the diffuser down, and now Packer will tussle and fountain, but Spiff is the better gun. A valiant effort, but just ultimately coming up short. I would have loved to have seen that ace clutch pulled off.
No, I would as well. I mean, he single-handedly did everything that round. The flank, and then, killed the person flanking him. And I'm very surprised about how he actually played that the 1 versus 2, because he had diffuser control in the hallway between break room and office double door. And he was very afraid of a person maybe coming up the middle stairs or in through beepers. He was always looking towards that direction. And then he actually gave up where the diffuser was and let them pick it up. You see it right, that's the flank. And then he doesn't go for the gunfight. And the second you get the diffuser, you gotta play retake, and there's the air jabs, they got the drones, and of course, Spiff is holding the cover as well. So I feel like Packer had to go all in there, fight for that diffuser case, at least to get 1 kill to make it a 1 versus 1 or something like that. Of course, it's always easy in hindsight knowing what the outcome was.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Beastcoast, they played it well together. They both went into the hallway, 1 covered, 1 beat up diffuser, and then they delivered that case to the side itself. And now we're tied up 2-2. It's once again one of
10
those
seconds
yo-yo
remaining.
kinds of matches.
We were about to get into the action, but now we just get to see reverse. And Dog. I know that that's a dorm room because, well, I went to college, but it is quite striking how much of the North American education system makes these dorm rooms also look like prison cells.
Damn. I thought his bed looked pretty cozy.
Oh, it's not his bed, it's the room.
But the bed is basically the majority of the room.
Oh.
It's almost like you knew.
Well, I mean, there's a impregnable wall in between him and his target, so.
I mean, it's been this position every time. Reverse is always in that position, always fighting the same guys on that triple wall. It's a back and forth, the keeping count. These coasts are actually pretty tied together this time, however. There is a trade happening if they will go for these engagements. So is Adam and Merc. 2-2 right now on the east side of the map.
Adam was the one, of course, that we saw earlier. Merc decides to get aggressive. Very well timed by Beastcoast, but Wildcard fighting back, getting 2 of their own picks.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
Spiff and Hat, no more. And now Mr. B has been down from a frost mat.
Oh no.
Attackers recovered the bomb diffuser.
I mean,
Easy to retrieve, but it does take reverse out of the action. And now Doc is going to test his luck on the main stairs.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Down goes reverse to Packer, who had an impressive string of kills, but ultimately we're not able to do enough in the previous
Attackers
round.
recovered the diffuser.
Looking to break double digits. He's only 2 kills away, and he's the only one that's really close. Where does he roam? Mr. B has an idea. That was a flashbang. Might flash himself with a magnet. Taken out by Surf. Down goes Spirits. It's all up to Doc.
it's got a minute. Diffuser's upstairs. And I think Wildcard knows. They're defending it, making holes in the soft floor, and they're even going for a revive.
I got the angle. Surf with the final 2 kills. Back and forth.
Back
But
and
in this
forth.
case, back and forth. formerly on Beastcoast. Are you there?
Yeah, I think I lost you for a second, but I think we're back.
Hello?
Hello?
I don't think I went anywhere. I think you're just trying to cover over from the fact that you weren't listening to me. Shame.
No, I actually think I lost you for a second. I was like, you're very quiet. I was like, maybe something's coming. I don't know.
I mean, production. Maybe they heard me. Hopefully.
I'm sure what you said was great. And now that I can hear you again, I'm so glad to be back.
Just inside of your ears. Yo-yo of a match, as we talked about it. I said it once, but I will say it again just so you can hear me say it out loud. Yo-yo of a match.
Yo-yo of a match. I'm curious to see if anyone's going to change up anything like significantly. So far, both teams have gone for a very similar style, right? Beastcoast want to do their East over. They have two groups working together, a 2-3 split. And Wildcard seemingly working very isolated the first couple of rounds, but then the last two, they're also working in units of 2 people and 2 people. It was Adam and Merc working inside that office where they actually lost out, and then Pagger and Spirit, they got the double click across the map when they traded 2 for 2 basically. And then you just have your single person on both teams droning, holding cameras, holding down the bomb site, not doing a whole lot of the action. We'll see if anyone brings out anything differently. So far, it has been the same couple of operators. Very surprising to me that Wildcard are bringing out the Bandit. It's likely just for those mirror windows to defend them, and Bandit's gun is a much better than Mutes, I would argue, so that might just be a comfort pick. But that switch thrown down the skylight, I believe. No, it did not accomplish the mission? No, it did accomplish the mission. There it is. It popped the mirror window. Well done.
Scans away from Lion, who has been a stable operator so far for Beastcoast, but not in the hands of Mr. B.
By attackers.
They've got Hat on that 417 now. Merc taking some damage. Could that be from Hat himself?
Uh-oh.
I think they might have just got one of the bandit batteries, which honestly is best case scenario. Spirits might be able to salvage the wall. He does indeed.
That's the
Hard breach
for you.
just thrown a little bit too late. Reverse has been down now as well. Look at the damage being done to Beastcoast. I thought maybe that earlier Merc would be the one to die first. I mean, he is technically. Just takes a little bit longer than we anticipated, Nick.
Yeah, you should have finger right about now because these health bars are getting oh so low, and down it goes Hat on the floor. But he maybe crawl away and get saved here. But Spirit's Bandit has gotten so much value. Denied the Selma, held strong, but look at that wall bang. It's stuck in Mr. B and reverse 3 in a row so quickly.
Wow, and I was looking at those HPs on the side of Beastcoast, and I was thinking, wow, they're in trouble. No, not even close. It's a flawless round. All that damage done, and ultimately for naught.
Came out of
Back and
nowhere.
forth again. 3-3 first half.
So this is where things get exciting when the side swap comes around, because now teams are obviously forced to change something up. I mean, there's no way they just, carbon copy each other's play styles on the opposite sides as well. And I want to keep my eyes, mostly on Merc, see what kind of flex operator he brings. He loves the, he loves the stuff like the Amaru and the Ying, the Blitz, of course. Ying is off the table because it's banned off in this particular map. But there's always something cooking and something brewing with him. And Border just really fits this kind of playstyle where if you want to go fast on attack, you absolutely can. And if you want to go slow, you also absolutely can do that.
First half in the books, and it's been an absolute mess between these teams. Just tons of gunplay, as you can see from the score lines on both sides of your screen. Nobody's really been breaking away other than Packer, we talked about earlier. His impressive performance through, rounds 3 and 4. Amassing quite an impressive number of kills, but ultimately still falling short in one of those 2 rounds.
5 seconds to insertion.
Spiff not that far behind on 7. But outside of that, it's pretty even team effort from Beastcoast. A little bit more top heavy from Wildcard, of course. That's the defending life. You get some exit frags sometimes in those, 1vx's, 2vx's, etc. I think right now, the mission is just to feel your opponent out again for the first round or two. Kind of figure out, okay, Are Beastcoast going to go for a bunch of spawn peaks? They're going to deny us the entries? Are they going to give us the entries? Do they care about security? Because some teams, they will, live and fight for that spot of the map, and some teams will simply give it up the second enough pressure comes. But Doc, the player playing Doc the operator inside of security, is a pretty good sign that he wants to play here with and for his life, but he will be slaughtered by Merc in very quick succession.
They trade though, so neither team gains anything from the first bit of contest that we see, the second half. But Adam obviously playing a lot of these operators that provide good value that usually persists. This time around, being 1-6 on Lion, no gadgetry to show for it, no EE1Ds to try and stop these players in their tracks, which would be quite potent as there's no mute on the board. You can't evade it. That's not a great loss. Down goes Mr. B to Surf, so you lose the Thorn. Talk about persistence of gadgets. Those Razor Balloons are going to stick around. You heard one of them go off. I don't know if there's still any more on the board, but something that we will figure out. Nicely timed by Surf. There goes another. East Coast are just paying for this flawless round that they had previously.
They are.
Now they lose
all the way
Spiff.
through.
And almost flawlessly done on the other side. Outside of that very first engagement, not a single body drops. All right.
I mean, the good thing that the round went that way for Wildcard is that they literally had one drone left to their name. And you can argue that they traded intel for kills, right? You spend a couple of drones, you get a kill. Spend a couple of drones, get a kill. And it works out. But the one thing that is always so true with Wildcard, or at the very least where Merc is on a team, is the out of nowhere really aggressive entry. Like Doc is in security, waiting around, holding vertical play, a member comes around, and then all of a sudden Merc flies in the window, kills him, jumps out of nowhere. And it gives you such a good way in through these rounds because the pain point of Border is the initial control. If the enemies, the defenders are fighting for security and they're playing in there, it is so hard to get in. It is hard to take it away initially. But once you have it, it is also equally difficult to retake as a defending team, which means the attackers, they can keep that for the rest of the round. So if you can effectively trade one player for one player, it heavily favors the attackers in those positions because they get what they wanted. They got that crucial part of the map. And you can see how Beastcoast are playing around this. Now Mr. B is drone clearing below, so Doc can stay comfortable above. He also has the Maya of Hat rotating over to give him some, cover for grenades. You have Reverse playing Mira to further strengthen that same part of the map, and also the opposite here, the office side. So very heavy presence for Beastcoast. They really worry about security. Spears playing Armory also support. So Doc has a lot in his shoulders right now, and if he falls the same way as the previous round, odds are it's the same, result. So Wildcard. Now let's see if they can pick this apart one more time.
We had that weird technicality in the DZ game earlier where they won 2 in a row, but they were on different sides. Now, we actually have a bona fide seesaw, yo-yo, back and forth contest. Again, it's the same thing that we said about some of these newer teams in the previous matchups where even if you don't win, I still think you have an awful lot to be proud of and happy with the results. I think even if Wildcard were to go on to lose again, this is a situation where it's a new team. They started off so strong. They're starting off this round strong, and there you go.
Oh.
Merc saw that happen to him with Hat, and now obviously the inverse has happened, and Beastcoast are kind of losing the plot here. Wildcard on attack, showing up in style. Mr. B gone, Reverse gone. Wildcard in a 5v3. Looking to break that trend line of teams only winning one, and oh my, bad timing by Hat. He could have had somebody. Top East. We'll still get him anyway. Just took a little bit longer. Let him marinate a little bit. Down goes Packer. A trade back though.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
East Coast. 2v4, 1v3. Again, the trades. We are not even getting close to the end of most of these rounds, Nick. There's just fast and furious action all over. Spiff, the last one standing for Beastcoast. Wildcard looking for their second round in a row. Inhabit. Spirits gets the final pick of the round.
And it's just, I mean, Wildcard are almost like disrespecting Beastcoast at this point, right? They get like the 4 versus 2, the 5 versus 3, and they're walking in one man, no drone, saying, I'm gonna swing you and win. Oh, okay, I died. You know, that's what Packer did. He walked into office, tried to take on a fight, got shut down. But they're so confident. And again, like, Merc is just so good on these entry duels. He walks in Passport double door and just kills the member instead of customs. And just, again, open things up. And it's so hard for Beastcoast to stop the bleeding once it starts. And they've called their tactical timeout. They have an issue on their hands right now. There's no way to stop Wildcard's train on this attack inside. We see right here, they go in, they get the job done, and they just go all the way through. The first kill happened at 1 minute and 50 seconds, and then at 1 minute 20, half the lobby's alive. At 1 minute, it's a 1 versus 2. So in the span of 40 to 50 seconds, the round is effectively over from start to finish. It's very quick. We're seeing a lot of reverse today.
We are.
I'm all for it.
Front and center. I think it's just that, you know, being with us being remote, we are looking at the feed more consciously than when in studio.
That's fair.
Right? Like when you're in studio, there's a lot to look at. There's multiple monitors. You've got the clean feed in front of you, but you've also got the lobby feed. You've got the match feed. One of the things about being remote is that you only have the feed that's in front of you, which is the same feed that everybody else is seeing. Oh, here's the free cam. Look at it.
It's flying. It's moving. Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah.
Go through the hole. Oh.
Don't tell him how to do his job.
I wanted him to do the fly through of the little rotate that was made.
You know what you did earlier when you went through the can opener through the wall? I like
On the office wall?
Yeah. I like that. You know, it's funny, when the season 2 first started a few days ago and I saw the free cam, it was so odd and so weird to me because it like breaks the realm of reality from what used to be the case. But now after a few playdays of seeing it pretty commonly, it's like second nature. Like I quite like it. It's also really fun when you see people get new tools for their job and like learn them as you go and improve with it every single playday because of course this is a new feature.
Take some time, just as teams take time to gel.
Yes.
Using new observation tools will require some time to, I guess, get more comfortable with it. Wildcard has been the story of today, though. They started off playing the very first match and now are playing the very last match. A surprise result over Sonics, who went 0-2 for the day. That second match in particular was quite heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Now here we find a wildcard team that is going up against an experienced East Coast squad. Yeah, they added reverse to the roster, but the core is still there, and Beast Coast showing some surprises as well. In stage number 1, I think playing better than a lot of people had assumed. I call this the Electro Shuffle because I think that calling everything tricking is lousy and lame. And that was quite a shuffle from Doc as he manages to stop all of the hard breach that was thrown on that wall. But man of the hour is Packer. And he's looking to give Wildcard yet another victory. Spirits in on the fun too. Beast Coast losing Hat and Spiff. Hat starting off strong, slowing down in the second half. More now on the shoulders of these Beast Coast players, and Doc couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that thing. Down he goes. DCSG just too much. Packer, the only person from Wildcard in the grave right now. Reverse and Mr. B find themselves in a very familiar spot. East Coast was in a 2v4 previously. They traded, but ultimately lost the round. Well, history repeats itself. Plenty of time for Wildcard. Nick, 50 seconds to go.
It's gotta be so frustrating because Beastcoast did everything right with utility, but then they just lose the gunfights. Look at this. Wildcard again. They walk on in. They got control. They planted. 4v2. Reverse is there, though. Can he strike back?
Can you do it? No. Merc taking matters into his own hands on that one. 3 in a row for Wildcard. They're on match point again, Nick.
It's so like, the electro shuffle was great, but I have to say, Adam and Thatcher, he was throwing out one EMP and then watching the wall get kited, and then one EMP, watching the wall get kited, and then he threw out the third one, but there's no summons left. I'm like, just throw 2 EMPs and it solves itself. And I'm thinking, oh no, they're locked out. They can't get in. Thatcher messed up big time. It doesn't matter. Then Merc walks in. Hacker walks in, Spiff it doesn't matter. They just get the kills, and it's not even that they walk in, they trade, because they don't really die. They just walk in and they literally all win their individual ones. It must be so frustrating this Beastcoast right now to play against, because you're doing the right things on paper. You take a timeout. Strategically, you actually outplay your opponent with the kite play, the electro shuffle. They had office control. The pliable shield wasn't cleared, but it's not enough. It doesn't get them anywhere. They're gonna go through all the bomb sites, try things around, passive aggressive, this operator, that operator, and so far just not finding any success since the side swap came around. Mr. B is doing something that I would consider illegal. He's playing shotgun on Solus. Shotguns did get buffed, but still, come on.
Changing mags.
It's an interesting decision, that's for sure. We don't really see that Spanish shotgun.
No, it's one of
Showed up in the game with Mira and Jackal all the way back in Velvet Shell. You don't see it used all that often, but you're right. I mean, the changes to the shotguns has certainly already made some waves in these matchups today. We saw the Hibana shotgun, which usually has only been ran by APAC teams in the past. That's a CAG special, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
The last time I saw Hibana shotgun was actually on Consulate, just to put into perspective how long ago this was. But
God. Okay.
Use it on the Zulu wall to open up bathroom. Good start by Beastcoast as they look to hang on. They're fighting for their lives in this matchup as Wildcard sits on match point. Down goes Packer. He's been the best shot for Wildcard so far, but don't sleep on Surf, who's been putting together a nice body of work over the last couple rounds as well.
Oh, look at this intel. Yellow ping is there. He has the information. Can he win the gunfight as well? It's messy, but it works out. The trade comes around the corner, but it's too little too late. Merc gets out live. That's very valuable for Wildcard. It's a soft breacher. Of course, the entry. Now, the Spanish shotgun might work a lot stronger with the shotgun buff recently, but it could also be that Mr. B just chose it for the soft destruction vertically as the bomb site is downstairs.
Down goes Spiff, and Beastcoast find themselves on the wrong side of a 3v4. Giving up a lot of map control right now, and Merc could be primed and ready for another altercation at the top of metal, but there's a flank as Mr. B drops. He's by these bomb sites. He's still patrolling. Uncharacteristically bad game for Mr. B. Puts the numbers at even, Nick.
Does, and the thing is, they're in the bomb site, but always with a casualty above them, you can't really plant anywhere because nowhere is safe.
Roger that. Adam looking for a kill. He's the last one left. Wildcards, Magic seemingly running out. They get 3 rounds in a row unless Adam can pull off a miracle. Herculean effort. He's got 1 E, 1 D. He's got 2 pocket EMPs as well, so still some utility for him to use.
Oh, poor man.
Where do you go? Where do you choose from? They see him, they hunt him down. It's had to drop and get the kill. Beastcoast stays alive for the time being. They've got 2 more rounds to win if they want to prolong this match and ultimately win it. They can only do so by going through overtime.
And this is one of those cases where Wildcard, they are their own biggest enemies, because everybody knows when you're attacking ventilation bomb set like we just saw on border, you have to take control of the floor above, because you can see the entire bomb site from above with that vertical destruction. And we saw Mr. B's primary shotgun. They also had secondary shotguns. They had vertical destruction all across the floor. Both hatches opened up. You need to take either armory and then plant the ventilation, or take archives and plant the workshop, or take simply both and you can plant anywhere. And Wildcard, they didn't really mess around the top floor too much. They thought, you know what, this is easy, walk in, get the kill, same as usual. Except this time, instead of fighting horizontally, you gotta look at the ceiling, and you're getting flanked, and you don't really have anywhere that's actually safe. So Wildcard tried to take the very simple, straightforward solution, and they got punished for it. And now, for the first time, we might be seeing some of those flex operators coming in from
Attackers
Wildcard.
have
There is still
located
10
no.
seconds left for it to change. And normally it's a
10
blitz
seconds
because
to
you want to
insertion.
go fast, but Packer is hovering Monty. And Service
5
hovering
seconds left before
Thatcher.
insertion.
The only thing is there's no actual heart breach on the board unless Merc has the
Attackers are
can
heading
openers
out to
on the
defuse the
buck, which
bomb.
he doesn't, so no heart breach. On a ventilation attack, it's not the end of the world whatsoever, and the Monty can enable the plant even if you don't clear top floor, but he can also clear top floor for you. A lot of options here for Wildcard, but a different approach to this seems very healthy.
It's a bit brazen to put Packer on Monty. You're gonna take one of your best 2 shots and put him on a shield? All right, I mean,
Attackers dropped the
there's a strategy obviously
Attackers have
beyond it.
recovered
He's
their
walking
diffuser.
very slow as to not arouse suspicion.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good old archives. This is a classic. Pop
This
floor,
is
pop
gonna
the wall.
be, this will be a quick one.
Yep.
2 barricades for the price of 1, but they've got a set of eyes on him.
They don't know.
They know he's there. Frost is looking at him, but Adam pulls this off. 48 seconds into the round, and we have all 10 players alive, and a diffuser successfully planted at the door, and now Beastcoast will scramble. There's a Fink on the board as well to give them a bit more sustain.
Eyes on the diffuser.
Already one of those adrenal surges gone off. Down goes Packer, but there's an unfortunate team kill for Beastcoast as they stay even in a 3v3. Can't get them back up as an adrenal surge is used. But it's flailingly done. Now Surf trying to stop him. Body blocking. The dock will get softened up, leaving just Spiff. And it's a clean out from Wildcard as they are flawless on the day, not requiring overtime at all. Not
love
bad.
that.
Not bad at all. 7-4 victory over Beastcoast as Wildcard live up to their name on day number 1. True Wildcards, Nick.
No, they are. But if you know how to end it off, you know, they changed it around 180, super passive, straight off the rib on step plant, and no one was nearby to stop it. Great read from them, and it shows their depth.
A really impressive showing from a lot of teams today, and also from individual players. The desk have already been talking it through, but I can only imagine that they have an embarrassment of riches to go over in the closing segment. So why don't we take a step back and give it to the studio to discuss what we saw today.
I mean, I don't really know if we have a wealth of embarrassing things to talk about for Beastcoast. I think just the day is already kind of enough illustration of the things that they need to work on. So I'm glad they got today to be able to work on those things. But I kind of don't want to talk about Beastcoast too much. I'd rather talk about the fact that Wildcard have already gone through 25% of the games they're going to play in just this group stage. They're already undefeated, and they walked away with a perfect 6 points. Wildcard are currently the best team in North America. Who the hell saw that coming, dude?
It's a great first start. I mean, this is a brand new team. You can't ask for anything better than this. I think a lot of people were doubting this team when they came in because they had such a chaotic kind of trial process. They were throwing players together. You know, it was going to be kind of tough to find that chemistry, but clearly it did not take them long to find it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we saw the Rainbow Six Combine, clearly, and we're obviously seeing it now displayed here. And I mean, Wildcard are looking honestly really strong, a lot stronger than I originally had thought they were going to be, and they keep showing it. And, you know, maybe in the first half, you know, this was kind of looking a little back and forth, kind of weird spots, fights happening, but then Wildcard just ran away with it once they switched sides.
Yeah, and I think Packer's got to be the guy who we're focusing on for a lot of those big frags. This was a chaotic map, you know, border sometimes can be where you just get these, you get these gunfights, it's going everywhere. It was a disrespectful map as well, you've got to admit it. There was a lot of teabag going on, a lot of shooting dead bodies on purpose.
Gotta make your mark.
You do, and I think Wildcard certainly did. They gave it to Beast Coast and the boys, and certainly put on a great show for us here, and of course, how to attack and defend here on border.
Yeah.
Should feel very good about that.
The fact that that ends with a basically almost perfectly executed Monty strat coming up top. I mean, how many times have we seen that with or without smokes or candelas, like in perfect harmony? And all it took was the right placement, somebody making noise at the right time, a Frost still putting a shield down in Africa at the same time. Like all of it just worked out perfectly in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautifully executed round. I mean, I was a little surprised that it really literally only took a door being shot down, a Monty in front, behind, and 3 Thatchers going off. So, and then bomb was down. So the only questionable play I had about that, as much as we give praise to Packer, I don't know why he moved from the door. That was a little questionable. He put himself in a corner. I would say next time, maybe, you know, stay on top of that bomb.
Well, speaking of Packer, we're talking to him again, which is kind of crazy. Dude, like usually we talk to you maybe like 1 time a day, if that. The fact that it's happening twice in 1 day, how over the moon are you guys to walk away with 6 points in your debut finally in the North American League?
It's really exciting. I'm really excited for this. We've been looking forward to this. We want to prove to like everyone that we're a top team. So we're here to stay. I mean, I can't wait to play tomorrow. Like, I'm excited for every game. I'm putting extra hours. Like, I'm excited.
Packer, obviously, I'm sure you're in a mixed space right now because you're excited today, it's happy, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So what's the mindset for the team? Are you guys trying to enjoy this while you're winning and live in the moment, or is it still all work right now? You need to be focused up on these games.
I feel like we're going to probably go over some stuff after this, but I mean, for tonight, we'll just, relax, have a good rest of our night, and then tomorrow it's going to be refocused, and it's going to be all business. We got to win.
You know, I honestly don't have any questions to ask you. I just want to say congratulations, man. You know, I saw in the post-game interviews you saying you deserve to be here. You guys are showing it. I'm really glad to see that you guys are putting in the work with the short amount of time that you guys have, and you guys are looking pretty solid so far.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you did the thing that you said you wanted to do only a couple of weeks ago. You beat Mr. B. How does it feel, man?
It felt great. I feel they just didn't play that great today, but I feel like they're going to bounce back. I believe in Fett and Mr. B, and I hope they have a good rest of their stage, but I beat him, so that's my boy, but I had to get that one.
It's still really cool that you're able to still give props to the guys that you defeat. Even if it's a win for you guys, we always appreciate the sportsmanship. So good on you. We'll take the smack talk whenever it comes around, but still, you guys have a lot to celebrate today. Whatever it comes down to for VOD review for tomorrow, whatever it is, you guys are off to the right foot. Give the guys our love, because again, that is a huge accomplishment to do on your first day. Congrats again, and we'll see you tomorrow, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Could not have asked for things to start better. And specifically for Packer, he was on that OG Parabellum team before it completely fell apart. It was him and Doc and Kool-Aid and a couple of other guys. He never had the chance to play in Tier 1 until today, and he made it count the best he possibly could.
Definitely.
Even on Wildcard, I mean, he was the last one added to the roster, right?
Yeah.
He was maybe will he be on it, maybe will he not. I think they're very happy with their choice, especially the way that he played in that last match.
Yeah, I mean, you saw his stats in the last map. I mean, it literally speaks for itself, and he said it again in the post-interview. He said that he deserves to be here. He's showing it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in the words of my old co-caster, Harrison Crow Broder, well, that's it. We're done. Day 1 is in the books, finally. We'll run through a couple of highlights real fast.